WhiskyCast. Brought to you by Redbreast, the definitive single pot still Irish whiskey. Those in the know Redbreast.
In the bluegrass state, a band of brothers sharing the flame. Craft a generation slave to the state. Pull out the cork and you'll know our name. Granddaddy's magic passed through the years. Products of blood, sweat, and tears. Singing, oh, 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 oh.
The sweat and a few tears have flowed at Kentucky's distilleries over the decades, but the blood. Not since Prohibition had there been a fatal accident at a Kentucky distillery until Friday, April 24th, 2015. This concrete slab is all that remains of the Silver Trail Distillery near Hardin, Kentucky. The Kentucky State Fire Marshal's office says the still over-pressurized suddenly and exploded.
It brought so much force there, it brought the door up and then landed this floor. And then I guess when it still landed, it threw the tower off, because the tower showed signs of almost like you take a straw and just turn it, like it sucked in on itself, when that thing plugged up. It's like the pressure had to go someplace, so it just tore it away. So.
Spencer Balentine's family made moonshine in the Land Between the Lakes area years ago. He took that family recipe and made it legally, starting in 2011, in the pole barn that used to stand on this slab.
Yeah, this is the outline of the fire box right there. So this would have been the center of the still right there. And like I say, when it went, it tipped this way, and then went out like this. And Jay and Kyle would have been standing here, changing a jug. Our jug lines were here, so we had about a 10-foot line coming off that came over here and dumped.
Initial reports of a propane-fueled explosion turned out to be incorrect. The fire marshal found no evidence that flames from the still's propane burners ignited alcohol fumes.
And Jay and I finally figured it out. He said, well, we had I think it was like 4 gallons in. We separate our gallons, and when that steam, luckily the still itself didn't hit them. It went the opposite way, but they got all the steam. They was running full temp, 204. And when that steam hit one of the jugs, he said that's when it popped. That's where the flames came from.
Jay and Kyle Rogers were flown by helicopter to the burn unit at Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville. Kyle Rogers died 17 days later from a bacterial infection. Jay Rogers underwent 13 operations and stem cell treatment to save his eyesight. He left the hospital 2 months later with a fiancée and a promotion to master distiller.
Yeah, I told him, I said, if you can survive riding a 3,500-pound still out the door, you trump my little riding in the moonshine car when I'm 5 years old story all the heck. So I said, I'm emeritus, you're the distiller from here on out. So he accepted it.
Kentucky Bourbon Master.
Since that April morning, Kentucky's whiskey community has raised thousands of dollars to help support the Rogers families, with events like this concert at M.B. Rowland Distillery, which also opened its doors to Spencer Balentine to resume his moonshine production and stay in business. Jay Rogers was at the concert. A day after being fitted for a pressure suit, he'll wear 23 hours a day for the next year to help his skin grafts heal.
I knew I was burned right off. That was but I didn't know how bad it was. Everything still looked, the skin, everything looked normal, but by the time I got us out of the building, of course, I had just pretty much took all the hide and everything off of my hands when I got Kyle up, when he was still unconscious, and I got him up to his feet. Then just I could feel it on my face. I could feel the skin just kind of drawing up and going away.
The fire marshal blamed a clogged output on the still caused by glass marbles placed inside the column to help increase water condensation. It's been figured out pretty much that the distilling beans that were up in that column, one of them managed to get lifted up somehow and plug that outlet hole.
Somehow or another, the distiller's beads did do that. We're not sure if it actually went up and clogged anything or if everything just settled and done it that way. But we're all on the same page as far as the fact that is the distiller's beads and just something in that packed column is where it went wrong.
That and the pressure valve they put on the still.
Yes.
Got one here. Showed this to Spencer, but this is that pressure relief valve, the same model. This is not the exact same one. This is the one that was mounted on, or the same model that was mounted on that still. This is not designed for a still, is it?
No, it is designed for a hot water heater.
And the minimum pressure to set this off is 75 psi, which is a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. Like I said, the stills, the stuff that we use should never be anywhere but maybe at the absolute most about 15 pounds. And so that's...
And 15 pounds is just a little bit more than a football.
Exactly.
What a properly inflated football should be. So, what do you have to say to the guy who made this still?
I'd like to meet him in a dark alley. I'd like to show him my scars. I'd like to give him a couple myself. I mean, that's just part of it too, though. It was going to happen regardless. I mean, it's just it was destined that something like this was going to happen, and one way or another, we wasn't going to stop it. But I do wish that they would have studied a little bit more of what they was doing.
The still was built in 2011 by Terry Wilhelm of Revenuer Stills in Oregon. While Wilhelm declined to comment on the fire marshal's July report, which quoted him as saying he installed the pressure relief valve to keep the lawyers away, he discussed the case with WhiskyCast in a May 22nd telephone interview.
These things are wide open to the atmosphere. I mean, they don't build any pressure at all. They're not a pressure pot at all. It's just a column. So, like I was saying, all things being equal, the fact that it operated several times, and I don't know, maybe hundreds of times, I don't know, to have this one time, the only thing that could possibly happen is that something got plugged on the output line, and it was able to build up pressure.
Spencer Balentine and Jay Rogers have filed a lawsuit against Wilhelm and Revenuer Stills, though they don't expect to win much. What comes out of this as far as you're concerned? What's the future for you as far as you're concerned?
Well, of course, been promoted master distiller. That's my first goal, is just to get back to work and me and Spencer to rebuild what we had and to get back to distilling. But with that said, I want to do it on a whole lot safer level. Not that I think that I was game for what we were doing in the first place, but hindsight's 20/20.
During the benefit concert at MB Roland, Kyle Rogers' family signed one of the barrels that will be bottled next April as a tribute. The morning of the explosion, Kyle Rogers sent out this tweet: "I didn't choose the moonshine life. The moonshine life chose me." He had been working at the distillery for just 2 weeks. So tell me about Kyle. Because we've talked a lot about you, but Kyle was just getting started.
Yes, he was. Got a message from his mom, said he would just really love an opportunity to work with us, and so I brought him out, and actually 2 or 3 different meetings, and just, are you sure this is what you what you want to do? Because he had a bank job, he worked inside, as a bank teller. He got to walk around on carpet all day in air conditioning, and we was fixing to put him into a 110-degree building, and he was all about it. He just really was. He had that same love for this that he and I do. I've had opportunity to visit, I won't mention any names, but visit some other distilleries that their employees there, it was just a job. We really love what we do. We have a good time doing it. We're a family.
You were still in the hospital recovering yourself the day that Kyle passed away.
Yes.
How did they tell you?
They didn't at first. They was kind of afraid to. I was, at that point, was still battling it myself, and they was kind of afraid that if they told me too soon, it might make me crash. But it was just one of those things that, without them telling me, I knew. I knew. But then I think they actually drew straws to see who was going to come in and tell me. My mom got the short one. So she came in and she told me. Just flat out just told me.
I know that was a tough day for all of you, right?
Yes, it was.
It was the worst day.
Like I said, Kyle might not have been working with us but 2 weeks, but he'd been, he was coming out after he got off work at his bank job and just kind of shadowing me for a couple weeks, and just, things like that, he was that interested in it. That was what I loved about it, was the fact that he was taking his own free time to come shadow me at another job. You don't find too many people that's going to do that, but this is a different animal too, though.
He had the bug, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Just like his quote, the moonshine life chose him, it really did.
I assume he's always going to be part of whatever happens around here, or his memory, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we plan on using his that last photo on the back of our LBL jugs also. I'm going to take me off. I'm kicking me off the back and putting Kyle on the back. So.
The future of LBL Distillery lies here in Aurora, Kentucky, about 3 miles from the original Silver Trail Distillery site. Spencer Balentine bought this old bank building a while back to serve as the LBL Moonshine Museum, with artifacts from his family's, shall we say, less legal distilling days. It'll also house a new distillery out back, complete with state-of-the-art safety precautions. The flags at the museum still fly at half-staff in memory of Kyle Rogers. One day they'll be raised to the top of the pole, but not just yet. For more cask-strength conversation on whiskeys, with the people who make them and the people who drink them, join us each week for WhiskyCast. In Aurora, Kentucky, I'm Mark Gillespie.